Hi everyone, really good to get out of the house this morning and go into school for a little while, one of my days. No children learning unfortunately, but it was very nice to see a few people handing out food and things like that. So we'll just get straight on with our reading today. We're going to be starting Tuesday, and then it is going to be chapter 1 for Tuesday on page 147 if you're following along. So here we go with Tuesday and chapter 1. Barry! Barry! Over here, Barry! Barry! The voices came from all around him. Everywhere he looked there was another flash. It blinded him. There were so many cameras. Come on, Barry, don't look so surprised, said Vlad Mitt. He tugged his arm, already around Barry's shoulder, tighter, pressing them together. One of you and the missus with Barry, Vlad? Shouted someone. Certainly. Come on, Morrisina. Morrisina, Vlad's wife, came over and put her arm round Barry too, so that he was standing between them. She put her other hand on her hip and for some reason stuck out her leg so that her bare knee showed through her dress. Mitts and teeth, she said. That was her catchphrase, which meant the three of them, the Mitts and Barry, should smile. He felt Morrisina and Vlad turn together, and he felt them, or at least it seemed as though he felt them smile. He couldn't help joining in. It was, after all, really, really exciting being at this film premiere in the centre of Youngdon, with the crowd shouting and all of the photographers trying to get his picture. And so, as the cameras flashed again, he felt his lips spread wide apart and a great big smile filled his features. On Barry's second meeting at the parent agency, the head had been very apologetic about the Radewell-offs. So sorry, he said. It's odd because we've placed quite a few children with them successfully in the past. I know, said Barry. Well, I know there's quite a few children there. I don't know how successful it is. The head raised his eyebrow. A big raise, leaving only a small amount of eyebrow hair visible below his fringe. He glanced over at the secretary entity, who shook their heads and looked at Barry as if he'd said something really inappropriate. Well, if you say so. We haven't had any complaints before. Anyway, let's move on. He grabbed the second 24-hour glass, the orange one, and turned it over. The sand began its slow trickle down from top to bottom. We have 4 days left before... Before what? Said Barry. The head had stopped speaking and started to look troubled. Before the end of your 5-parent package, interjected Secretary 1, much to, or at least it looked like this to Barry, the head's relief. Yes, exactly so. Barry, said the head, what sort of parents would you like for your second day? The secretary entity raised their pencils above their pads. Barry took the list out of his pocket again. What is that bit of paper you keep on looking at? Said Secretary 1. Oh, it's just some thoughts I had written down about the kind of parents I don't want, I guess, so that I can make sure I don't choose them. Shouldn't we keep it in our files? Said Secretary 2. No thanks, said Barry, who suddenly felt very protective of his list. He didn't quite know why. He scanned it. He'd covered number 9, being poor, with the Radewell-offs. Number 1 was being boring. Interesting parents would be good. But then he remembered that he could kill 2 birds with 1 stone by going for number 8, not being glamorous or famous. Or rather, the opposite of number 8. Famous. I'd like to have famous parents. Great, no problem, said the head. Famous parents always want loads of children, don't they? The secretary entity nodded earnestly, as if the head had said something very wise. Yes, but I'd like to have famous parents who don't already have any other children, please, said Barry. It didn't really work out with me and the other kids last time. Oh, said the head. Let's see. He took out the gold laptop and started flicking through profiles. No. Not this couple. They've already got one from every country in the world. Oh, there's that famous singer and his partner. But they have 2, and they will insist on dressing them in gold lame suits. So, he looked up at Barry. Probably not for you. Secretary Run raised her hand. Head, sir? Yes, my dear. What about Vlasarina? The head slapped his forehead and said, I can't believe I hadn't thought of that. I wrote it down earlier, said TSE-1, showing the words Vlasarina on her pad. So did I, said TSE-2, although she was scribbling away furiously as she said it. Chapter 2. No one actually told Barry who Vlasarina was until he was picked up by a man in a Ferrari outside the parent agency 5 minutes later. The man was wearing a black suit and shades, and had an earpiece with a little microphone in front of his mouth. "Hi," he said as Barry got in. It was a red Ferrari. Like the rather well-off stretch Rolls-Royce, it was a model that Barry, who knew a lot about cars, had never seen before, with pop-up headlights and millions of dials on the dashboard, and a steering wheel covered in what looked like diamonds. You sat in it very low. Barry felt like his bottom was nearly on the tarmac. "Name's Jonty. I work for Vlasarina." Then to his microphone. "Ready to roll." "Hello," said Barry, who thought that Jonty reminded him of a younger and trendier Peevish. "Roof off," said Jonty, starting the car and revving the accelerator. The engine sounded amazing. Like some kind of monster clearing its throat, they sped off down the road. Okay, said Barry, who hadn't realised the car was a convertible. Jonty pressed one of the many buttons on the dashboard. The roof didn't just go back with a slow whir. It flew off instantly, like a giant had flicked it off with an enormous finger. "Oh," said Barry. "Good, isn't it?" said Jonty, raising his voice, since the roar of the engine was now 5 times as loud. Barry looked round. The roof was crashing down the road behind them, turning over and over, other cars swerving to avoid it. "But, oh, don't worry. Vlasarina has a deal with Ferrari. They just fit a new one each time," said Jonty, pressing his foot down so hard on the accelerator that Barry was thrown back into his seat. What kind of person is Vlasarina?" shouted Barry, the noise now so loud it was like they were actually sitting inside the engine. "Vlasarina, my friend, is 2 people." "2 people? What, like some kind of 2-headed mutant?" "Ha!" shouted Jonty. He swerved around a corner at top speed. "You're telling me you've not heard of Vlad Mitt and Morosina Padada?" No," shouted Barry. "Good grief, get with it, Grandpa. They're only the coolest celebrity couple on the planet." "They are?" "Yes." The car suddenly braked, throwing Barry back in his seat again. They were at some traffic lights. "Haven't you seen any of Vlad's movies? Black Smell, 100 Days Till Christmas, Froggy Goes A-Courting, Instaman, The Shuffling Tree, Fish and Chips the Movie, Death in the Car, Death in the Car 2, Death in the Car, 3?" said Barry. "No, 4, said Jonty. He wasn't in 3. They got Jackie Noodle, you know, from the Wonky Monkey videos. To play his part in that one, Vlad was furious." "Oh," said Barry. "He's also the face of Stink Bombay," Jonty pronounced in a very French way. "His face is a stink bomb?" "No, he's the face of Stink Bombay, the smelliest perfume in the world. And Morosina, she's a pop star. You must have heard of her." Jonty was revving the accelerator pedal again as he spoke. The lights changed, and they sped off. Barry had to hold onto the dashboard to control what felt like the G-force on his face. "No, sorry," said Barry. "You're kidding me. She used to be a girlish, you know, who won Talent Mess 2 years ago, and then had a massive global hit with My Dog Surprised by His Own Farts." "That's a song?" "Yes, you must know it." Jonty opened his mouth wide and hit a much higher note than Barry would have guessed him able to. "He sleeps by the fire when we watch the news. Then when one pops out, he looks confused." "Wow," said Barry. "Yeah, the record company was surprised by the choice of it as a first single too. But it worked. #1 in 57 countries. And then there's the dance." "My Dog's Surprised by His Own Farts dance?" "Yeah, you know, down in a heap pretending to be asleep, then up on all fours, surprised face. Then you move your face around pretending to bark." "Right. Morosina's solo now, of course, and she used to be called Sally, but then she did a big deal with a supermarket, and anyway, they can tell you more about it themselves, 'cause here we are." Jonty pulled the car up to a gate. Not like the grand old gates at Bottomley Hall. It looked just like a very, very high white wall. Jonty pressed a button on the gate. "Can I take your order, please?" said a voice. "2 big burgers with triple fries and a chocolate milkshake, please," said Jonty. "Oh," said Barry. "I'm not that hungry, although if they do chicken nuggets I wouldn't mind." Coming right up, said the voice. Sorry, Barry, that isn't an order, said Jonty, turning to him and winking again. It's a code. There was a whirring noise, and as Barry looked ahead, the white wall slid slowly into the ground, revealing a very tall skyscraper. He looked up, and could just make out the top of the building was shaped like an enormous V. So there we go. That's our chapters for today. We'll be getting a proper look at Vlad and Morosina tomorrow, I expect. Don't forget to do Joe Wick's Body Coach at 9 o'clock each day. I didn't manage to get it to it today because I was in school, but yesterday I did it and I found it really, really good. Great way to keep yourself fit and a bit active even while we're all stuck inside. Anyway, see you tomorrow.